Although I will say it doesn't take a lot of time to do. I mean, that takes probably 20 seconds to say, is that what you're supposed to do?
True.
What should you do? Sometimes, though, you're right. But this is also a situation where you can use your volunteers. I've seen them sitting while this stuff is going on. You know what? If you see someone hitting, you can go over and say to them, should we be doing that? What can you do? Tell them how to address it, and they will. That's why you have those volunteers. When they're sitting doing nothing, use them. They're your extra hands and feet. Yeah, those volunteers are 18, 19. I've had them say to me, I don't know anything about children. And I'm like, okay, so you volunteered to come be with children. So they need help. We're eventually going to do training for volunteers as well. But teachers or principals are the first priority. But they don't know, so show them. And I know that's hard, guys. And I know some of the volunteers, okay, we're not going to go there again. And if you have a problem, if you're comfortable, come to me. I have a different relationship with Saran, and I'll duke it out with her. You guys don't need to do that. But maybe when it comes to the children, and you tell them, they love having the volunteers. Am I right? We're not going to have one in our class if you don't do what you're supposed to do when a volunteer is. Is that what you want? Is that the choice you want to make? You know, you need to, and it's going to take a while for them to get it. And here's the bad news. When you start putting new things in place, they're going to be worse because they're going to try and make it go back the way it was. But it's worth that effort because they will adjust. They will adjust to the new routines. So if they all come at the door and go, teacher, maybe you need a different procedure so that the students are all in their classrooms before the volunteers. I don't know what the answer is.
It doesn't make any difference.
Yeah.
Even when they're in the class, when
they start shouting.
They start shouting.
Right. So then you're like, one of the things we're doing in Sunshine, we close the door if there is a door to the classroom. So you say, I'm sorry, volunteer, can you please step out? You close the door and say, is that what we're supposed to do? Do you want them to come in? We'll try this again, and you choose to do what you're supposed to do. It's not magic. I'm not saying it's going to work every time. I'm just trying to help give you other options to try. So, nope. You might take 5 times putting the volunteers in, but I bet the next day they're going to knock it off. So, just to try new things. It's hard. You guys, this is why I called you rock stars. Every time I'm here, I get a deeper understanding of what you guys are dealing with. This is hard. You guys are amazing that you go and do this every day. So that's where Susan and I are coming from, is how do we help make this better for you guys? None of you want those kids on the street. We don't want those kids on the street. So we're just trying to help give you ideas. No, I'm not here to say you're not doing things right or none of that. You guys, man, it's hard. It's hard. Yeah, and I think another way to approach a couple is, I'm having this problem. We really appreciate the volunteers. Is there anything you can suggest how I can talk with them? Like, you're going to show that you want to work with them. You're not tattling. You want a resolution to the problem. And I understand it's hard to do, and if that's hard for you to do, that's what your principal is for. And the principals are learning. If they're not comfortable, because they're not always comfortable, they can come to me, and I can have that conversation. So the best thing is for you to empower yourself to do that. But if you can't or you're not comfortable, that's what your principal is for. I get it. It's such a, do you say catch-22 here?
Yeah.
It is such a catch-22. You're damned if you do and damned if you don't, but your responsibility to those kids. Oh, catch-22? Yes. That's not the restaurant. It comes from a book called Catch-22, and it's about the military, another one of America's brilliant. And if you're in the military and you go to a psychiatrist and say, I want out, this is crazy. They can, how does it work? They can kick you. If you don't think that the military is crazy, then you're crazy. But if you think the military is crazy, they're going to say you're crazy.
So you're crazy either way.
Yeah. It's like, you can't win. Oh. You can't.
That's what Catch-22 means. You feel like you can't win. Yeah.
If I don't address the volunteers, then I got to deal with them holding the kid all day. But if I address the volunteers, they're going to get pissed and throw a tantrum and leave. I can't win. Oh. Okay. I cannot say that enough. And when I know this as a counselor, right? People need to be heard. You guys need to be heard. The principals need to be heard. When I go to a school and I go to the principal, I go, what do you need from me? Do you know what every one of them said first? Can you just talk? Can we just talk? I get it. So this is what these kids need, okay? But sometimes you have to listen to their behavior. So, this is what I think the behavior is actually saying. Do you see me? Do you hear me? Do I even matter? And you have to let them know the answer is yes. Not that their behavior is okay, but that you're hearing them and seeing them. Your brain chooses, that's choice, how it's going to behave in order to get what you need. So that's why we keep addressing choices. Feelings, I believe, as a therapist, we can't choose our feelings. We feel what we feel. We can't, oh, don't be so sensitive. Tell me to stop breathing. It's how I feel. It's how I respond. What I can control is how I behave because of those feelings. Does that make sense? Oh, look, I wrote, that's the good news. So, if you change what they are doing, you can also change the feeling. So I'm going to raise, pun intended. I'm going to use the example I used earlier because I think it's so easy to, it makes so much sense. Teacher! What are you supposed to do when you want to ask a question? I'm supposed to raise my hand. Okay, would you please do that? Thank you. Now I can answer you, what do you need? You get them to change what they're doing. Teacher, to, and by the way, if you buy into this and you guys try this, and I recommend everyone in the school try the same things.
I have a problem with the thing, I have almost 3/4 of my class, no, most of them, they usually come to school maybe 4 days a month and then they're out. So the ones that I'm always with, they already know the routine, but when those ones come, they don't know anything and they don't come to school. They start the whole thing back again. So how do I deal with it?
Same thing you do when it's the first time, they're going to catch on quickly if the rest of the class is already bought into the routine. Then when the new kids come, they're going to be like, it's not cool to not be like the other kids, right? They don't want to be made fun of. They don't want to be bullied. There's positive peer pressure, man, don't do that to our teacher. Don't do that, So it is every time someone comes in new again, there's going to be that learning, training period. But I think if you stick with it consistently, they'll catch on quickly, especially if the rest of the class has figured it out. So I want to say this again. This also means our behavior is a choice. But I want to tell you, if you choose to use some of these tools, you have to be patient with yourself because it takes a while to learn the new thing. You're going to go, oh man, I told him to knock it off again. It's okay, but just keep thinking and keep trying. And your principals should be helping you to remember. not to scold you, but to be like, oh, remember, we're gonna do the raise your hand, please. And that's their job, is to help you remember. But it's gonna take time for you. You're gonna go, oh shoot, I forgot to do that. It's okay, be patient with yourself. So this is our goal. I already gave you those examples. So I believe, and not everyone agrees with me, but I'm just going to put out there that you cannot make a child say they're sorry. Okay? You can suggest it, and most of the time they go sorry, but you can suggest that to them, but you can't make someone do what's not in their heart. But you can say, that was not an option, that is not how we do things here. And ask them to apologize, but you can't make them, and you can't punish them because they don't say they're sorry. You can give them consequences because of what they did. But the other part of that positive practicing is what we talked about earlier, where you look for times when they are doing what they're supposed to do, and you point it out. Yay! Look at how everybody is. Look at someone raise their hand. Look for those chances to This is something that if you want, you can write this out and put this on your wall, okay? This is for those conversations where you actually are taking the time because it's something maybe more serious. So I know this isn't realistic in the middle of a class, but this is what we're looking for. How do we get to, they saw fighting all night last night. They saw their dad punch their mom. What is it you want? Why do you think? Why did you hit him? Because they made me mad or whatever. Is what you're doing getting what you want? Well, did that make it better? Are you making good choices? Or here's a big one. Would you like some help with how to make a better choice? Can I help you figure out something else? But in the end, their behavior, this is kind of where we want them to start thinking. This is definitely more for the older children, but with the youngers too. What's going on here? And maybe you don't have these conversations, but in your thinking, you're thinking these things. What is this kid trying to accomplish here? He's not feeling like he has power and control. Whatever. He's not getting sleep. He's not getting food. But you want to, start thinking on that deeper level of what is this child really trying to say? Does that make sense? Yeah, and here's the other thing is just by having the conversation, what you have done without them even realizing it is they are focusing on the conversation, which lowers their aggression to fight. Focusing your brain helps redirect that energy. So just by having the conversation, no matter what the conversation is, you have taken out the intensity of what's going on with them. This gets back to that serious beating, the stuff where the fighting is really intense. Remember, we need to keep them safe. So sometimes all of this stuff, you just have to go, nope.
Pick them up, move.
You're out of here. We need to remove you. We need to de-escalate. So use your intellect or your intuition and your heart. You love these guys. You know when it just is big enough that you have to just move it. Okay? This is probably what I did want to end with on that. A child is like a full bucket, and they empty some of their bucket when they exhibit their behaviors, but you can fill it back up when you help them make better choices, when you listen to them. Does that analogy make sense? Mm-hmm.